Welcome once again to another edition of our Government at Work program, a program brought to you by the CCM-led Nevis Island Administration and hosted by yours truly, Keith Scarborough. This program is broadcast live on VON Radio every Thursday evening from 8 to 9:30 p.m. Then we broadcast on Nevis Television on Sunday evenings from 8:30 p.m. It's a program designed to inform and educate citizens and residents of Nevis, both at home and abroad, of the many positive developments that are taking place here on the island of Nevis. It's a little rainy on the outside, but it is still a lovely Thursday evening here in Nevis, and it's a time when we all look forward to a night filled with information as it pertains to the continued good governance of the CCM-led Nevis Island Administration. I, for one, look forward each week to go deep into discussions with the ministers of government, the permanent secretaries, the advisors, the department heads, as well as top officials from the various statutory corporations, to ensure that you are given as much information as possible. We also make every effort to keep the discussions as frank and as honest as possible, so that you, the listeners and viewers to this program, will get a true reflection on what's happening here in the land that we all call home. We shall take a short break, and when we return, I shall introduce my guests for this evening program to you. So stay locked on to the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, VON Radio 860 AM.
There's something mighty sweet about my land, and if the foreigners who live here can insist that it's here they're from, then I swear I'll never leave my native land. One people, one country.
Welcome back. Folks, as we approach the opening of the new school term, I am pleased to have as my guest this evening the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, my good friend, Mrs. Daniela Claxton, as well as Principal Assistant Secretary, Mr. Jamie Claxton. Good evening to you both, and welcome once again to our Government at Work program.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I hope that through the summer vacation you were able to get some much needed rest and are ready for the excitement and the challenges that lies ahead in this new term. Usually during the summer vacation, Ms. Claxton, the ministry takes the opportunity to do some upgrades to the various schools across the island. So before we go into our discussions this evening, could you give us an update on some of the upgrades that you would have done on those schools this time around, both internally and externally?
All right, so thank you so much, and thank you for having us once again. We know that we are right at the cusp of the beginning of the new school year, and I'm always brimming with excitement when I think of school. And as I tell you over and over again, there must have been something really interesting about me, because even as a child I got excited about back to school. And so as it relates to some of the work that has been done over the summer, we have had a bit of work happening at most schools, and what we are trying to do this time around is to ensure that the work is not limited to just the summer break, but to spread it out across the year. So some of the work has been done over the summer, some will be done at the next break, just to ensure that we get each school up to scratch and to address some of the issues. We were not able to address every issue. I don't know that we will ever be able to address every issue because there are so many long-standing ones, but the attempt was made, but led by our maintenance team head, Mr. Percival. The attempt was made to try to remedy some of the situations at the various schools. We had some work done at CSS. So to date, we had some work done at VOJN, their restrooms, trying to get those up to speed. And one of the biggest issues that we have in the system is restrooms.
As usual.
Yes, restrooms have been an issue. So we try to get those up to scratch at VOJN. We're doing some work at EPPS. We're trying to get them a little lunch area. They don't have a cafeteria, so just a little eating area for those students. And so, as I said, a bit of work here and there, and then some remedial work at some of the other schools, just to get them up to speed. We are in communication with the principals, and as we said, we will be spreading it out across the rest of the year to make sure that we get it done properly. What we're sometimes you try to go too much too fast, and then it's not done properly. So we want to make sure it's done properly.
Okay, great. Now, you had your annual back to school convocation with all of the teachers on Monday, 25th August at the Nevis Performing Arts Center. Nipa, give us an update as to what transpired at that event as well, and as to who the facilitators were, if you can.
All right, so we had the back to school convocation, and that is the time, well, ahead of the back to school convocation, we had the leadership summit.
Okay.
We brought the school leaders in last week, and so they were in just to get them up to speed with some of the policy changes, some of the things that we want to implement to improve, and then we went into the convocation, as you said, and that's when all of the teachers come out, and so we had a full house as per usual at NEPAC on Monday, and we were able to celebrate the return of the teachers and the ancillary staff and all of our staff members, instructional and non-instructional staff members, under the theme Own the Journey, reclaiming purpose, restoring passion, renewing practice. And it's just about helping us to remember that we all have to navigate the interactions with our students in our own way, but that there are some basic things that must be in place for us to be able to guide our students through their journey. And so we have to take into consideration what must be done, and we have to also have some level of accountability. We started off with an opening ceremony. We had the Principal Education Officer, Ms. Brown. She presented her remarks and highlighted some of the persons who will be leaving us to go to study or for retirement, and then we had Minister Liebert. Minister Liebert addressed the teachers as well. We didn't have a presenter per se or featured speaker per se. We had a panel, and during the panel we looked at the way forward for education and just highlighting some of the major initiatives which will be coming to the fore over the next few weeks into this new school year. So that was where we started. So the presenters were Mr. John Williams. Mr. Williams is our education officer with responsibility for STEM, and so one of the areas that we will be taking a closer look at this year is to reveal and to roll out our digital literacy program. In the past, our students primary school students were exposed to an information technology curriculum. But information technology, the curriculum was more about identifying the parts of the computer, knowing how to navigate the basic. Yes, right. And that had its place when I was in first form, and we were learning about computers because it was new. We didn't know anything about computers. True. Now the students need to know more because they come with a lot of knowledge. Sure. And so we have to look at now at the higher order thinking activities, the application, how to protect themselves while online, so cybersecurity issues, also skills like coding and those types of things. And so last school year we partnered with Macmillan. Macmillan has a textbook called Max Computing, and it was developed by Digital Schoolhouse, and so Digital Schoolhouse and Macmillan partnered with us, and we were able to train some teachers and do a pilot in grade 2 and 5 of the Max Computing textbook. The digital literacy guide is only a part of the process. Also, we want to make sure we do some sensitization with the parents and the community about digital literacy, what it means, what part we play as adults in this process as well. So Mr. Williams did his presentation on that and kind of sharing with and we did some background work, some surveys and that type of thing, so that we could share with our teachers with the way forward, what they could expect, and a bit about the role they play. And we will have more informational sessions and more activities around this component in the upcoming during the school year, so that our leaders, our teachers can stay abreast. And you and I know things like AI will have to come into play, and just about at every turn you're hearing something new about AI, and that's AI is also part of digital literacy. So as I said, it's not limited to that one thing, and it comes under the umbrella, the pillar of vibrant teaching and learning. Then we had Miss Brown, Londa Brown, the Principal Education Officer, and she presented on enhancing professional skill set, and she spoke to professional development, the fact that we are going to re-implement the Wednesday afternoon early dismissal, but just for two Wednesdays per month. So in the past, we had the Wednesday afternoon early dismissal for primary, secondary schools, and the secondary schools continued last year. We did not continue with the primary schools, and we realized that we were not able to have those professional development sessions. When I was going to school, if our teachers had to go to a workshop, we would be fine with a grade 6 student coming to monitor us, or be fine with the next door teacher. We've realized over the years that the children are a lot more active, and we note that when teachers are out of the classroom, off-site, we have a lot more incidents happening. So we want the teachers to be able to focus on their professional development, and that is the rationale behind having the early dismissal. And it's not a new thing across the region. Persons might say, oh, it's an American thing. No, it's not an American thing. Across the region, for example, right there in our sister island of St. Kitts, on Thursdays, they have early dismissal for teachers to be able to do their teachers meetings, to be able to do their training through the ministry, to be able to have their learning communities and work with other teachers across. So that is something that we're reintroducing so that we can keep the teachers abreast and keep in contact with them. So Ms. Brown spoke to a bit of that, and then Mr. Williams spoke to student support and community engagement. We are going to be extending the EduPage to our primary schools. For the last few years, our secondary schools have had access to EduPage, and EduPage is where, for example, our parents can go on and see student grades. They can go on and get notices from the school. They can send messages to the teachers. Keep contact, and it's really important for parental engagement and keeping everyone up to speed with what's happening. And so during the course of last year, we actually onboarded our primary schools, but we did not open the platform up to the parents. And so we're opening it up, and that allowed the teachers to get used to it a bit. And we're opening it up to the parents this school year. So we'll be doing some sensitization on that as well. And then we talked about our math camp as well. We know that we have seen a decline in the performance of math over the region. Last year, I think it was worse last year. It's improved this year, but we're trying to mitigate some of the issues related to math. We have done some research, and we realized that we have a lot of work to do, but we wanted to give the incoming fifth form, the fourth formers going into fifth form, a fair chance to access and to learn and to master the main components of the math exam. And so it was not as well received as we hoped or planned. I think that the students felt that it was a remediation activity, meaning it was for students who couldn't do math, and that was not the case. Because, as I said, if you're having generally less than 40% of our students across the region, or 40% of our students across the region being able to pass math, those who sit it, and that doesn't count those who didn't sit it, then we have an area of concern, and we have to face that. And so the students were a bit misconstrued, I think, and they did not show up as we anticipated. So we're looking, we pitched it for about over 150 students was our expected target group across both high schools, and we only ended up with an average of, I think, 30-something, 40 students. So we are a bit disappointed, but those students who attended, we were able to see an increase in their scores from the pre-test to the post-test. After they did the modules, we were able to see that they mastered or were able to do better on the questions, past paper questions, than they did previously. Our hope is to continue the activity in the Christmas break, for 2 weeks, and we hope that the parents would see the value in it, and that maybe can do a little bit to help them to get over that hump for the new year. And then we'll be doing some interventions in math for the other levels as well, because as I said, math has been an age-old issue, and we think it may be getting worse, and we want to make sure that we do something to address it as soon as possible. And then I spoke. And I'm going to tell you about I won't tell you about my initiative yet. I want to hold it until later on. So I'll let you go ahead.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for that update. We have quite a lot to get into this evening, so we shall go straight into it. By the way, maths was always one of my worst subjects.
Mine too. So I definitely understand the challenge.
All right, before we go any further, Jamil, let me say to you, feel free to jump in at any time to assist the permanent secretary. So feel free. Now, Ms. Clarkson, the new school term starts on Monday, as was mentioned earlier, and I can recall in my days at school, secondary school, it was an exciting time, like you said about yourself as well, when all of us as students look forward to this particular day for one reason or the other, but mainly to see our classmates and other school friends. For those who are attending the various schools for the first time, however, it can be like stepping into the unknown. But those were my experiences. You are in the thick of things. What is the first day of the new term like today?
I don't know that it's changed that much in terms of how the students feel. Well, a lot of the students would prefer to be at home because they love to be on their devices and sleeping late. Sleeping late. The students love the summertime and going back to school. Yes. They think it's a break in their sleep pattern because we know they stay up till 2 and 3 in the morning and then they sleep till noon. That has to change. So we've actually been giving some tips to make sure that they get back on routine. So, but outside of that, I think that the students look forward to seeing their friends and classmates most. We are aware that not all students come to school to learn, and that's the reality. But when we always say while we have them there, we have to make sure that they learn.
Yes.
But to see their friends and the social component of the school day is very important. I don't know, Mr. Clarkson, what do you think will be the thing that the students are looking forward to most?
I think, as you mentioned, is seeing their friends who they haven't seen for the past 8 weeks or so. So a lot of students look forward to that. Some of them, like in the primary school, they look forward to, as young as they are, some of them look forward to the experience of being with a new teacher. Yeah. So, like Ms. Clarkson said, one of the challenges for them returning to school is that they have to break out of the patterns they would have developed over the vacation. But once they get back into the groove, normal business resumes.
Okay, great. Now, let me ask you this. Will you, as the permanent secretary or principal assistant secretary of education, be going to any of the particular schools on the first day of this new term?
We'll stop by, usually we stop by one of the schools, but the department, of course, each school has an education officer, and that officer will go and speak with the students, give a welcome back speech. If needed, we will fill any gaps. However, if there are no gaps necessarily that we would have to fill, we would just stop by one of the schools or a few of the schools and just say, hi to the students and welcome them back and greet the teachers and wish them well as well.
Right. Now, on the first of the new term, when the students gather in the assembly hall, what are some of the things that would normally be said to them in terms of expectation as well as to motivate them?
What are some of the things that are going to be said? It differs. From the department, we tend to have some key areas, like you said, setting the tone for the new year. That's what the first assembly should be like. And as you know, there are some schools that have a closed enclosed space where they have their assembly, and some schools do the open area assembly. And so they might not necessarily be in a hall physically, but they would be meeting and having their assembly. And so you'll hear words of encouragement, encouraging them to remain focused, to get into the new routine or get into a new routine. We'll hear challenges to ask them to make sure that they're being kind and courteous to each other, because they tend to sometimes, children these days sometimes tend to be a bit aggressive, and they don't they're not as cautious about what they say, and they can hurt each other's feelings and cause, and mental health issues, and those things are reality for students. So we'll try to get them to understand the importance of being kind and being aware, being tolerant, and like you said, encourage them to have a good year, to work hard, and in the moments where they feel like they're failing or faltering, seek help, and whenever they fail, to get back up again.
Okay. Now, in my days in school, one of the things that was always spoken to us about on the first day was the appearance of the student, meaning, you must look well groomed. If you are a girl, your skirt and blouse or tunic nicely ironed and tucked in. Speak to us a little about today's dress code. What is it? What is acceptable and what is not?
Well, what is not acceptable for our students is for them to come in their casual clothes or out of clothes, out of this shirt, out of their skirt or their pants, and those types of things. We still want our students to be well kept as far as possible, and we encourage parents to remind students of that. We are not, schools are only part of the students' lives and part of the students' learning processes, and if the parents themselves can help with that, ensuring that they dress smartly and have a certain level and standard coming out of the home, that would be helpful. However, if not, we know that the principals, the deputy principals, the leadership team, the teachers would try to correct and redirect, because you will always have, I know it happened when you were in school, as much as you were encouraged, you will always have the people who push the boundaries. And so we want to make sure that whatever boundaries are set for them on Monday and going forward, that the students respect, that every institution has rules, and that there are boundaries, and that they would follow those accordingly.
Okay.
And that there are consequences too, Scarborough, because sometimes people go on Facebook and social media and they make a big to-do about whatever the rule is and question, or call the rule into question, or call the policy into question. Whatever the rule or policy, and whatever the guidelines given by the school, students are expected to follow them. Whether or not we like them as individuals, that's what they are, and we encourage parents to encourage their children to respect rules. If they go to, for example, some institutions, when they become adults, will say we have a no visible tattoo policy. We also have a no visible tattoo policy, Scarborough.
Okay.
So let me just interject that right here. We're going to insert it right here. We have seen an increase in students coming to high schools in tattoos. We have a no visible tattoo policy. So parents, minors getting tattoos means that you know that they're getting them. Having them on their arm or visibly in a place that's visible is a no-no. We're not going to accept it, and so make sure that we follow whatever the rules are. And so, as I said, some institutions have that rule: no visible tattoos. You have to cover them, right? And so, whatever our rule is, we expect our parents and our students to follow them and to respect them. And if they don't, then we'll just have to stand firm.
Okay. Now we are coming up on Independence 42. Does the school do anything patriotic for independence? And in my time, we used to do a little thing. Is any patriotic program in the schools?
I think for the most part, each individual school will put on some sort of independence program. So we kind of leave it up to them to decide what they're doing. Of course, they will communicate with us so that we have an idea. Yeah, but each school usually put on their own particular program.
Okay, but it's not a must.
Oh yeah, well, you must observe independence in some way.
It's how you go about doing it. That's where we leave some room for creativity.
Okay, all right.
So some might do a field trip, some might do a concert, but to teach that and instill that national pride, that's your ultimate goal.
Okay, great.
And then there's a parade that we get the students to
participate in. Yes. Now, every new school term, we see some new teachers coming in and some old ones departing. You alluded to it a little earlier. There is, of course, the teachers training workshop that takes place each year with a view of replacing those that may be moving on for one reason or the other. Enlighten us a little about the current teaching fraternity. Do we have enough teachers on hand to take care of all that needs to be done nowadays, or more is needed?
All right, so well, how do I answer that? I think we are just about we're really close to ensuring that every classroom is covered for the new school year. We have some high needs areas that we're not getting a large number of teachers in. The age-old issue of the the sciences, your chemistries and your physics, and we struggle with that. This year I think we actually got 2 new chemistry teachers in who came back from university. I want to thank them for doing that, because lots of times when you have students who are studying the sciences, they end up remaining overseas.
Yes.
So we have those challenges, and then we're seeing a new one emerging, Scarborough. We're struggling sometimes in secondary English, history, geography. So the social sciences are taking a hit, and the modern languages are taking a hit. And when we're looking at the enrollment in the classes, the enrollment is low. So you're seeing, for example, 3 to 5 students at the high school level in some of these classes, which means by the time they get to sixth form, sometimes you're seeing 1 to 2 students, and a lot of these students may go down different paths because they have different aspirations. Teaching might not be their aspiration, but we encourage them, if they have to take a gap year or 2 before going to college, to still invest and in other children who might be interested in those program areas. So we have some gap areas that we would love to see filled, and we are trying to figure out how we can build capacity internally. Of course, we can always do an external call for teachers across the region, but we want to see how much we can do internally before we do external calls.
Okay, great. Now, students, and this is a ticklish one really, students in the high schools in particular are asked to ensure that they have all the books that are necessary at the start of every new term, which can be tough sometimes on some parents. So let me ask you this. Quite a number of students would have left school at the end of the last term, and some would have moved on to sixth form. Has the Ministry or the Department of Education reached out to those students to see if any of them would like to contribute those books or even sell their book at a reasonable cost to those students or parents who may be finding it difficult to purchase the books that are required?
I love that idea. I think there's potential there. I know parents generally do that on their own. There are some parents who actually scope out the children who are in the class ahead of their child, and they reach out to the parents. And there are some who every year they know you pass down, and sometimes it's not a matter of passing them on for free. It's a matter of, like you said, providing them at a reduced cost. So, but I think that maybe looking at formalizing it a bit more, or putting the recommendation out there a bit more, I think that would be a great idea, and I love that you've brought that to the fore, because I think there's great potential there. And some students take good care of their textbooks, and so when you get them, they're like
right.
Yeah,
they're still in good shape, because I think that is something that the ministry or the department should be looking at. Really, the thought came to me earlier to this, but I'm sure a lot of people live in school. It might be wise to reach out to them and see if they have any books that they would like to sell or pass on. So I thought that would have been something good to ask you about. Now, the Aspire program that was introduced by the federal administration to assist children between the age of 5 to 18 years old, could that be used in any way to assist some of those parents and students who are struggling to purchase their books at this time?
I'm not sure, because I don't know much about the background of the Aspire program. I can tell you that there is a representative, a lead for Aspire on the federal committee, and Miss Janisha Daniel is the lead for Aspire, and she has been doing sensitization with the parents. In fact, in term 2, she went to every PTA, and she shared the updates on Aspire, got parents to register, and the next component that we're discussing is the financial literacy component, where we'll be piloting through the Aspire program financial literacy for primary and secondary school students. So the pilot will take place this year, and during this term we will have the training of the teachers who will be delivering the program and things along that line. But in terms of whether the funds can be used towards this, I'm not quite certain.
Okay. Now, education, as we all are aware, has gone to a total different level. In my days, it was 1 or 2 exercise books and 5 or 6 subjects. We did a lot of reading in those days, of course. Those days, there was hardly any TV, and there was stricter parenting, a whole lot of church going, and the whole village was monitoring your behavior. Today, I am hearing of students doing as much as 17 subjects, having access to a tablet or a laptop, even a calculator to help them do their work. Now we are hearing of AI, which you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
That I understand could practically do half of the work that the students are required to do. There are those who believe that this type of technology is undermining the true development of the student rather than helping. What's your take on that assessment?
Well, as I said, there's lots of changes. Just there's so many things, and whether or not students can continue to think critically, whether or not students can continue to function at the high level that we expect. I myself was one of those persons who, when I look at all of the assistive technologies and the things that are available, computers, we textbooks, and we were fine.
Yes.
And you said something very important, Mr. Scarborough, that I don't want you to miss, because I said it today. We've been having a series of meetings with various stakeholders within education, and so today we met with crossing guards and security guards and guidance counselors, and we were having that conversation. Children, a lot of the backbones of our community that were the backbone of our community are no longer there. And so the children, their exposure is different, and I need the community to understand that their reality isn't what our reality was.
That is true.
When it comes to things like AI, I was one of the fearmongers, if I have to be honest. Even in my role in education, I didn't want, I said no AI for students, because to me it seems scary. And over time I've learned a lot about it, learned to master it. But I believe that children need to learn the fundamental skills. And if they're going to use AI, they should use AI to guide their research, just like they would have used Google, or not to take the thing wholesale. And so that's, I don't know if, Mr. Clarkson, you have anything else to add. He spoke to the number of subjects. 23? 20?
I said 17 is more than that?
No, it's 26 is what I saw as the highest number this year. I think
26
or 27, somewhere around there was the highest. But the subjects come in batches, I know. They're groups.
They're
so
not all one time.
No, they do them all. Yes, they start them all one time, but they do them in groups. So if I'm studying, for example, the business grouping, a lot of there's only one SBA.
And the content is similar across.
Right?
So it's easy.
So it's easier for them, and so that helps. But doing that number of exams is no easy feat, because that means that you would be sitting 3 to 4 exams in one day, and your brain will get tired and you will get tired. So
they have AI now, so
they have
there's
AI.
no brain in it. So
There's brain. There's
what's brain in it? That is the reason that is given by those who express the fear. That there's not enough. There's not much reading taking place anymore. Not much thinking is required by the student, because all the answers are practically provided for them.
Just to chime in on I think there was a period when we were saying that technology is coming, or technology is going to be the future, but we have to face the fact that it is here. That's why digital literacy is very important to us. It's just a consequence of the world that we're living in, and as you're aware, we're living in a global environment at this point in time. What we have to do as leaders in education is create the environment as to how these tools are used in the right way, and that's all we can do at this point in time. The children don't read a lot now. Education itself has evolved, how you access information, how you embrace information. For example, I used to read a lot when I was younger, but now I listen a lot of audiobooks, so I will put on audiobooks. I don't actually have to read, but basically somebody's reading for me. But I'm still taking in information. So it's just that the way that we taking information has evolved somewhat. I still do believe that actually reading needs to still be a part of what we're doing, and the worst thing come to you, because reading is more than just calling words.
Exactly.
It's understanding what you're doing, and also just the fact that when you go out in the world, you should be able to read signs, interpret information accordingly, and so forth. So I don't see reading as an art would be removed, should be removed. We think still needs to be an important part of what we are doing in terms of the education and development of children. But we also have to understand, and Mr. Acton said that the way that we get information has changed somewhat. I think we just have to ensure that how the children use the technology, the AI and all of that, it's in a controlled way. Yeah.
Maybe we have to be deliberate in teaching them how to use AI as well, because like I said, for many of the assignments, and CXC has introduced an AI policy. It's here. And we can't run from it. Universities have introduced the AI policy, and none of them are saying that you can't use AI. Everyone is saying you can use AI with parameters. So I think the time has come to spend some time teaching students how to use it effectively, because we don't want AI to be controlling our way of thinking. Like you said.
Now, I remember mentioning to you last time you were here that it is only a matter of time before the tablet and the laptops replace the books, because the students of today are glued to their phones, their tablets and their laptops. Technology, as we are discussing here, is rapidly replacing the manual way of learning. Therefore, the time is fast approaching when most, if not all, of the schoolwork would be placed on those tablets or laptops or even the phone. I would like to hear your thoughts on my observation.
Well,
the classroom is going to be filled with laptops, tablets, or even phone doing that work, because the children are now glued. In other words, if you want this guy to learn the subject, you got to put it on his phone, his tablet, or his laptop. That's the way. That's what I'm thinking.
And I don't think it's a bad thing. I'll tell you why. They use the same devices for entertainment, so that is what they're attracted to. So if we have to manipulate the instruction using those tools so that they can get the learning done, I mean, it's something that we have to do. I think we have to do. As the thing is that we can't run away from the fact that technology is here. We just cannot run away from it.
Right.
One of the things that I like as a student, when I went to university, what was that platform that we use at Midwestern, where they used to put everything on, like assignments and so forth, whatever it was.
Blackboard is one.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, some. Yeah.
They use Blackboard is the more popular one now.
But it made learning interesting for me. Yeah, it made learning very interesting for me, because as an individual, I was embracing technology much more than I did when I was back home. Yeah, and it just made learning more fun. So technology has its advantage. Like I say, the children are glued to their laptops, they're glued to their phone. So why not use those devices to get the message over, get the instruction over? I don't think books will become obsolete. I really don't think so. Yeah, I think we'll find a way to integrate those same things into the technology. And I think that's the stage where we're at. We're at a watershed moment where how do we take the information that we have in the regular textbook, and then one of the critical things is that we're also dealing with a generation that is attention span very short. They have to be engaged in order to maintain information. It has to be engaging. Gone are the days when you just write on the board and they write it off, and it doesn't work. It really doesn't work. But if you put that same information, say, in an anime or cartoon or a game form or something like that, you get it. So they pick it up, so they learn, and that's why a lot of, especially at the early ages, a lot of children are learning information faster, I must say, in terms of not learning. They're exposed to information earlier than normal because of these same technological devices.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard about Unbound Academy?
No.
Okay. Unbound Academy is in Arizona, and the students actually just have 2 hours of interaction with teachers per day, and the rest of the day is AI powered. AI guides them through the day. It's a personalized product, and they're guaranteeing that the students who are enrolled in Unbound Academy will be able to score in the top 10% of standardized tests in the state. And so they're encouraging parents and to get their children and register them in Unbound Academy. So it's pretty much most of the day is guided by AI.
You know, the fear I have is that if you take away these
Traditional.
equipment from these children and put them to stand up and speak, they're lost. Because
but
they could be lost because they're accustomed to be given the answers and the direction from their tablets, their AI and all kind of thing. And that is the fear that I have.
But
that once they have them in their hand, they're in control. They're brilliant with it. But if you take away that thing and put them to stand up and address this audience here, they're lost.
Depends, because the researchers suggest, and if you look at the leaders in education around the world, like the China, the Japan, the Finland, those Scandinavian countries, the technology actually prepare them better in terms of a global environment than the traditional ways, and the research has proven that.
I think when we talk about traditional, we're talking a lot about, read the textbook right and regurgitation. And there's nothing wrong. Technology is just one tool. But what we have to realize is that we have to approach teaching and learning very differently because students' attention spans are very different. They navigate the world is very different. And so, like you said, if you take away the technology, they should be able to stand on their own. And part of our, I guess, the onus is on us to create that balance, to ensure that they can still survive, even if, because they might come when the technology fails, or they might come when the technology doesn't work, and they might come when, and we have all those people who have all the conspiracy theorists and everybody else who thinks that various things will happen on certain days. But education should prepare students for a world that we don't know what that world will look like. We don't know what's going to come next, but they should be such strong critical thinkers and have the skills necessary to be able to face the world. Are we there yet? I don't know that we are, because we're straddling old and new, and old schools of thoughts and new schools of thought, and I don't know that we have gotten there, but we are really trying to find that balance, because if it was up to the children, it would be just technology all day.
That's true. You mentioned something earlier about technology breaking down. What if the students are in that exam room and the computer cease to work or the tablet cease to work, and where are we?
Well, we have to report if it's a technology-based exam, and that CXC is going.
No, I don't
hybrid.
mean the education officials or the teachers. I mean the student.
Where are they?
Yeah,
they'll be fine.
Basically lost because he can't copy no more.
If they can have an assistive technology, and it is something in an exam, and it is something that we provide, we'll switch to a new device, because it is an accommodation that is allowed.
Replace it.
Yeah, we can just switch to a new device. Even in exams such as the CXC exams, if something goes wrong with the device, then we have to find a way to provide the support and not disadvantage the child.
He or she doesn't have to think. They just
they'll think. They have to think, man. They have to think.
Because I think the overarching thing is that regardless of which approach we take, we're trying to make our students critical thinkers. I think for many years, and we've been through the system. We are veterans of the system. It basically has been built around regurgitating information. And a lot of time the critical thinkers of today and yesteryear, so they were just natural critical thinkers. But the basis was, I tell you 2 times 2 is 4, and you should tell me back 2 times 2 is 4. That was the basis of education in the past. If I'm wrong, somebody could correct me, but that's what it was.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, that was it was. So I think, regardless of which approach we do, and like Ms. Claxton said, we'll have to find a balance between them, and something that works for us as a society. At the end of the day, we're trying to produce holistic individuals. So, can we produce the information, but can think critically, like you said, if something goes wrong with technology, they may be able to figure out what's next and tell us, why not take this approach, because the laptop broke down.
Okay. Folks, you're listening to Government at Work. My guest this evening is Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Ms. Daniela Claxton, along with Principal Assistant Education Officer?
Secretary.
Principal Education Secretary, sorry, my bad. We'll take a short break, and when I return, we shall continue with our discussions here on Government at Work.
So right, St. Thomas is right, St. James is put together and build your land. Right, St. George's and St. Paul's together with St. John's. This land is enough for all to share.
Welcome back. Ms. Claxton, you mentioned some time back that you would like to have all the schools computerized with all the students having access to tablet and laptop. In the last term, you did receive some tablets which was distributed to some of the students, so you are well on your way to achieve your goal. When do you think this will become a reality, and do you have a time frame in mind to get that accomplished?
I think it's just about a reality. The only students who in the system from last school year who did not get the device, last year the students received tablets. All students from kindergarten to second form received tablets last year, and so our incoming fourth and fifth form will be receiving their laptops when school reopens. We decided not to. We had the devices. We just decided not to distribute them because we wanted them to be able to use them effectively to do the SBAs and assignments, and wanted to guide them through because, as I said, they're getting laptops. So during the next week, the upcoming first week of school, those students should be receiving their laptops. All other students in the system have received their tablets.
Okay.
So we should be close. We also have tablet and laptop carts in the schools where teachers can use some of the devices in their classrooms should they decide to. Students can bring the device to school should they decide to. It's a matter of communication and coordination to ensure that the students are able to effectively use the devices in the classroom space.
Okay. The Winsong Foundation has been assisting the Ministry of Education with education materials and equipment up to recently. Have they been approached for further assistance, perhaps for those additional tablets that you may require to make your dream come true, basically?
I think, as I said, I think my dream has just about come true. I just hope the students can take good care of them.
Right.
In terms of future projects for Winsong, we should be seeing some before the end of this year. Some other projects which we have submitted should be rolling out before the end of this year, and then of course going into next year. When that time comes, we'll share the specifics about those projects. But as of now, yes, we have made some submissions, and we look forward to seeing the fruits of those.
Now, just for clarification, the tablets and laptops is just for the high schools? Or?
No, all students from kindergarten to grade
Oh, really?
Yeah.
to second form received already, and so the others will get theirs this week.
Oh, really?
Next week, sorry.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Now, speaking of Winsong organization, has there been any discussions or any visits by them lately? And are you expecting further contribution from them during this term? Or?
Yes, they have the representative who does monitoring, and so we have to submit reports on what we're doing with the resources.
Right.
So you know that we, for example, in January we received desks and chairs, furniture for the students. We have to submit reports on distribution. The school buses that we're using, the coaster buses, I think most of them were donated by Winsong, so we have to continuously provide updates and reports on those. The devices and the device use, we have to report on those as well, and then we have spot checks and visits happening throughout the year. So we monitoring and evaluation, M&E processes, accountability is very important when you're investing in any project, and so we just ensure that we're doing what we're supposed to, and we don't have anything to worry about. We continue the conversations with them, and when they come to visit, we see how we do some reflection, and we see how we can continue to forge a strong partnership.
Okay. What next are you hoping to get from them in terms of equipment?
When the time comes, we'll make sure that we come back to visit Mrs. Scab.
You don't want to know the
We're not going to
secret
speak
now.
about it.
Okay, all right, understood.
I'm like the pageant contestants. We're not going to talk about it.
Okay, Ms. Claxton, we have been hearing much about the latest CSEC results, which was recently released. So let me ask you this: how well did we do this time around, and how do those results compare to that of last term?
Okay, so the preliminary results were released on August 15th, and that just means that we don't have the final results yet.
Okay.
The schools have their broadsheets, and we have what we call the preliminary results, not the official results from CXC. The local registrar will send us the official results, but it's going to happen after the review process. So currently there are some students who may have perhaps failed a subject and they felt that they didn't fail that subject, then they want to query it, or some students who felt that they should have gotten a higher grade, they want to query it. So those processes are ongoing and should end. The deadline is September 12th for that, and then following when those have been cleared up, then the local registrar will send us the actual results. So we haven't gotten the actual results yet. However, based on what we've seen from the preliminary results, which we know need some cleaning up. So there were some ungradeds there were some various anomalies there, and they will be cleaned up by September 12th. Hopefully, we see a fair number of passes and grade ones. We also see some areas for improvement that we know we have to work on, because while others listen for number of ones and number of passes, we have to scrutinize the results differently, because we have to look at it from a responsive intervention vantage point. We celebrate with the students who are able to do well, who are able to pass. Math is still a concern for me. I'm seeing some other concerns rising, and we spoke about some of those areas that we have gaps in when teaching. We're seeing the similar gaps in the grades. So I would love to see better grades in subjects like geography and some of the social sciences, get more students into history. Like you often talk about literature. That's one of the big ones for me, but most students don't want to sit that subject. So looking at the subjects, I think that the students who wrote the exams did well. I want to say that some of the students wrote exams previously, so we were not seeing, in some instances, large number of subjects being sat by one student, because some of the students may have written the exam last year or the year before. So we had students writing like 5 subjects, but they already have 5. Okay. So when you're finished, they're going to have 10.
Yes.
But it might look on this year's returns that, okay, the number of subjects sat or the number of subjects passed is low, but it's not that, because those students can then go on to the next level with what they have. So post September 12th, and we'll give a little synopsis during the next couple of days, but we can't give any specifics. We can't identify any students by name to say, okay, Keith Scarborough is a top student at the school. We won't be able to do any of that because the results are preliminary, and we don't want to do that. In the past, you had a lot of confusion and back and forth because we released grades as final when they were not. Okay. So we look forward to further scrutinizing after they come, and then we have a better answer for you. Next time we should be able to tell you, well, our top students were these persons and for this school and that kind of thing.
Understood. Now, graduations for the high schools are coming up shortly, sometime in October, November?
Well, since COVID, they have been closer to November, December. Because following the review processes and making sure that the queries are finalized and all those things, and you don't give the wrong person valedictorian, because as it is right now, there's a process which is linked to the CXC, which determines that. And so those nuances have caused the high schools to decide to push the graduation closer to the end of the year. That way they know exactly who's who and what is what. So we're looking at I think between the last 2 weeks of November and the first week of December. School closes on December 5th, so I'm pretty sure we'll stick closer to the last 2 weeks of November.
Okay. Now, there was a major push over the past couple of years to get that graduation ceremony down to a lesser time. There was a time when you used to go 4 or 5 hours. I could understand that. How are we doing with that in terms of that timing of the?
I wish you could do better. Okay. Because like you, I don't know. I love for persons to be able to celebrate their moment, but as a former student and a forever student, Mr. Claxton, forever student. The long ceremonies are not very meaningful. They don't focus on the students.
That's
So
true.
you have an entire concert happening and that type of thing. We don't have the issue as much in the secondary schools, though. I think for the last few years, we've seen coming out of COVID, we've seen these ceremonies being very tight, so I expect something similar with a large number of students graduating. Sometimes you'll have an extra time for the presentation of certificates, and that's fair because
Right,
it's
that's
focused on the students.
Right.
But we haven't had a big issue with timing for the secondary schools. They have done a good job of keeping it pretty tight.
Okay, great. Now, I want to speak to you about a matter that is causing some concern, not only for the students living here in St. Kitts and Nevis, but our students abroad as well. We all would have heard of the Trump administration new policy as it relates to overseas students studying in the U.S. We have quite a few students currently studying in the U.S. Are you in a position to say how many of our students from St. Kitts Nevis in particular, have been affected by this new policy, if any, or could be affected?
Well, as you know, the Ministry of Human Resources deals directly with
That sort of thing.
students who are studying abroad, tertiary education, higher education. But I haven't heard of any specific cases or any specific reports that have affected our students here on Nevis. There were a few who applied and were able to get their student visa extended, and some of them had a slight delay, so they were not able to go for the start of the first day of school, but they are on their way to go in the upcoming week. So in terms of those numbers, I wouldn't have those numbers.
Understood. Do you know if there has been any discussions at the local or federal level regarding this new development?
I haven't heard or been part of any of those discussions, if they have had those discussions or if those discussions have been had. But I think this is a good time, Mr. Scarborough, to have a serious conversation with our young people, our students, about their presence online, the way they represent themselves on social media. We have these conversations, for example, at the Summer Job Attachment Program and in various forums and activities that we've had. We are encouraging students to be mindful of what they post, because each country, and it doesn't matter which country, each country has the right to set their boundaries and parameters for entry. And when we are too loose with our words and we're not mindful of what we say, there are implications, and we have to face the consequences of those actions. And we also have to respect, we spoke about respecting the rules of the school. The same obtains for this, I think, for this question. We have to learn to respect the rules of any country in terms of the entry and exit procedures. We don't have to like it, but we have to respect that, especially when it's not our country. We have to respect whatever the rules that are put in place and abide by them.
And they shouldn't do that. I want to add that there are a lot of other countries around the world which have reputable universities. There's this notion that you have to go to the US. There are top universities in Europe and even in Asia and Africa. And then also human resources also always put out a lot of scholarships. Like if I had those opportunities when I was going to school, I would have never had a student loan. You know?
That you can't get out of.
That you can't get out of, really. You know, so I'm encouraging parents, I'm encouraging students who are looking to further their education, explore all the options. Don't think that you have to go to the US. I just want to put that plug there.
It's a clarion call that the Premier has been making over the last few years, really, because apparently, according to him, and which is true, for some reason, all the division students want to head to the United States. And that's why I brought up the question of the new policy, because we see where that is heading. Ms. Clarkson say he haven't started to affect us yet, but it might only be a matter of time before we start to see that thing affect that new policy.
It's amazing. There are US students who are going outside the US to study.
That is true. That is true. That is true. Let me ask you this, Ms. Clarkson. How do you, as the permanent Secretary of Education and someone who would have furthered your education in the US, deal with such matters if you were affected by this new policy? I mean,
So if I am a student.
Well, student
And
for long.
I'm a student as well. So in a U.S. university, and I'm very mindful that once again the rules and regulations of the school,
Right.
of the country, their rules and regulations, and that I have to abide by them. And so if I had to go back to my undergrad years of some time back ago, I think that maybe I wouldn't have been as mature in my response. Maybe I might have, felt offended and gotten a bit agitated by it. But the reality is that you abide by their rules and guidelines, and if you can't, Mr. Claxton said it best, you have options, many options, and most of those options would take transfer credit. So that's an option as well, transferring to a place where you can be comfortable. And we cannot ever forget our regional universities. We have we have UTech, we have regional universities that offer several subjects and courses as well, and perhaps in one of the conversations we've had in my course is perhaps it's time for us to take a look at what we have to offer regionally and focus on building our regional brand.
True. Now listen, I understand that with this new policy threatening jail time and deportation under consideration of if one is found guilty of the new policy, that threat alone could have a very serious impact on the students' ability to concentrate on their studies. Your thoughts on that? How would that would affect
See, I think
just the knowledge, because it hasn't happened yet, and like you said, nobody has been affected that you
Not
know
that we know of, yes.
But that thought has to be in some of the mind that I hope I don't get caught in the trap. But go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying the thought of it lurking in the back of your mind,
Right.
of course, could be stressful. But when it comes to the US, and this is what we both done, studying there and working there for a little bit, is follow the rules and you're good. That's how the US, like once you follow the rules, and 99.9% of the time you're gonna be good. Just follow the rules. Don't overstay. Don't work without permission. These little things. Once you follow the rules, you're gonna be good.
I hear you, and it's easy to say, but some of them already broken those rules. That is what happened. They're going back years.
Yeah. That's true. and unfortunately for those persons, there's some baggage, and I guess they'll have to deal with the consequences, or find a way of dealing with consequences if they're ever caught up. But I'm just encouraging the new generation, the persons who are going now, when it comes to the US, follow the rules. There's always going to be temptations, like for example, working off campus, because you could probably make more money off campus than on campus. But the rules, international students could only work on campus. Just if you're making $10 on campus and $20 off, work with the $10. I've learned that in the US system. Follow the rules, and you're going to be good.
Yeah, they were following the rules, but what we have here now is a new policy that is outside of the rules that you were following, because you're not doing anybody anything. You're abiding by the rules, but they have gone back some years to say, well, you came in wrongfully, you overstayed your visa, and all kinds of excuses they're using. And that's the difficulty.
And that's the difficulty for those who would have
done that
in the past. Yeah.
One of the things where we could be affected from the US angle, of course, as well, is that we normally get some scholarships from the US, and the US is one of those countries that our students love to go to in order to specialize in their preferred field. This new policy could have some sort of effect on that as well.
Yeah, but I think we have to just broaden our perspective. Just look at your options. Every year there are several opportunities for Morocco, for Germany, for all over. And students don't access them. They don't apply for them.
That is true.
So, as I said, maybe it's the time has come for us to explore the various options, and you never know. It might be just as exciting there. You might learn even more.
Better.
It might be better. It's a different experience, and every part of the world will bring you a different experience. So it's just a matter of broadening your perspective, making the decision. And if you decide to follow the traditional path, then you know that what the consequences and boundaries are. If you if you choose to go the non-traditional path, you also know that there are going to be some challenges as well. For example, when persons started to go to Taiwan, Taiwan is so far. You have to fly for so many hours, and your family would be concerned about how long it would take for them to get to you or for you to get back home should something happen. And now going to Taiwan has been normalized.
Yes.
So everything that is new will seem intimidating, but as time progresses, it will become your new norm. So the rules and the guidelines and the changes seem a bit daunting now. They make some persons uncomfortable, and I understand why, but they will just become the new norm. It's always easy to become agitated when something is new, but if that is the norm and that is the rule of the space, then we respect it.
Let me ask you something, since I have you here. Why would a student turn down a totally free scholarship to go and get a loan for one in a different country?
Everybody has a different why. Some persons have a vision of what they want their life to be and where they want it to go, and the scholarship that covers everything, the full scholarship, might not align with their vision. As I said, some persons look at the challenges like distance, how many flights you would have to take to get there, the fact that there are no persons who are of your culture, who represent your culture in those spaces, or they don't know of anybody who might be from the Caribbean there, or the various challenges, the unknown, the fear of the unknown is real. And as I said, it will become normalized when you have more persons. So if I can use the same example, when nobody was going to Taiwan from the Federation, it was always a concern as to whether or not you'll be able to see other persons of your race and culture. Now that you know that every year we have 20, 30 people going, you know you're going to encounter persons of not only your race and culture, but from your country. And so over time, it's not going to happen overnight. The persons who want to lead the way and be the vanguards of thought will be able to pave the road for those who are going to come in the next generation, who will see going to Germany, going to Morocco as the norm.
So,
Go ahead.
I was saying, just want to add to what Zanel said. So, I've had conversation with a lot of young people as to why. A couple of things. And I think it's changing now. The US has been portrayed as the land of opportunity. So a lot of persons live here in mind, I'm going to go to university and hopefully get a job there and I'm going to make a lot of money. Yeah. Location is just a stone throw away from us. So it's easy to get there and back. Those are two of the factors. And then also, in terms of settling cultural-wise, for some reason, students feel they will assimilate easier into the US culture compared to going, say, Germany, the Far East, and so forth. I think now persons are understanding that the world, it's not that, for example, we had a discussion one time with some young students. I tell them, there's a McDonald's. We were just trying to show them that there are a lot of similarities around the world. There's a McDonald's in Morocco. Yeah, you know? Yeah.
There's a KFC in St. Kitts.
There's a KFC in St. Kitts. So it's like you will find similarities, but like Zanella said, I think a lot of time it comes down to the fear. When you hear Morocco, when you hear Germany, people are intimidated by the language, even though Germans speak English well, you know. So it's like, the main thing that I got from a lot of them was that they feel like you could get richer quick in the US. I'll put that out there. The US is closer and it's easier to assimilate into the US culture.
Yeah, I hear you and I agree with you to an extent, but the other part of it is there's a fear of the unknown. And I have a kind of, he says a lot about that individual who is fearful of going to further the education. Because I'm concerned when I hear the Premier said this morning that 28 or 27 going from the Federation to Taiwan and only one from Nevis. I mean, I don't understand that. You're supposed to be bold and brave and willing to take on the world if you're going to excel in life. Not to say, well, boy, me kind of feel Taiwan and too far. It says a lot about that individual because the conditions are going.
Yeah.
27 of them are going.
And other countries.
I know, right. So
like,
why are they going and we fearful?
I have a conversation where we have persons from the Windward Islands that are studying in two countries like Turkey, Romania. You know.
Yes, there's a Romanian scholarship. I don't know that we've had anybody who has taken that one, but it's there every year.
Hungary.
Yeah.
You know, Hungary.
I want to see our students be willing to take on.
And I don't think they understand how culturally rich these countries are. Like we know because, of course, we've traveled and we exposure. Yeah, but yeah.
Let's hope it changes.
Yes. I think it will change with time.
Yes,
I think it will change with time.
Right. Now, I want to move to a lighter side of things for the Ministry of Education, but just as important, and I'm speaking of the athletic side of things. Jamia, this is up your street. Coming up in just a couple of months, your popular primary school football competition will be taking place, and a number of persons, including the teachers and children as well as the parents and supporters of those schools, are looking forward to that time. How are plans coming along thus far, and exactly when this tournament is likely to begin?
Yeah, okay, plans have. So we've started working on it since during the vacation. We had a meeting just recently. Well, when I say we, the team, because we usually put a team together at the ministry to execute this event. The opening should be on October 3rd. Yeah, October 3rd. And we'll go down to. I think it's mid-November, just before tests and so forth. So I think plans are going well. Not much major changes this year because we had some very good successes last year in terms of the operations and how we execute, event management. So we're just going to tweak a few things based on some of our shortcomings. But generally, things will remain the same.
Okay, and where would the commission be held this year, and at what time of the day would the games be taking place?
So, at ETW Park again, because the general public, the schools, teachers prefer it in that central area. You know, a few times we would have tried to take them to the schools themselves, but everybody just like coming to a central area. It creates an atmosphere that the players and the parents, the fans love. So we'll be at ETW Park. We'll start late afternoons again as usual from 3:30, I think 3 o'clock or 3:30. Yeah. So we'll have 5 matches a day. Once all 10 teams participate, every match there will be 5 matches. We have 2 fields, so we'll have a double header and then the one match, the featured match of the evening, whatever that will be.
Okay.
So,
I'm hearing that as part of the independence celebration, there'll be some cricket games amongst the schools to see who could be the champion of the schools cricket for this independence. Are you aware of that? I heard it even today, and the cabinet secretary was announcing the various activities, and that was one.
I know that there was some discussion early in the year about what some of the things we could do for independence from a sports perspective. There hasn't been much from us. Let me put it out there.
It was announced today.
Yeah, from our ministry. I don't know if the PS is aware.
Not as yet.
Yeah. Okay. But I know we did early in the year. We did say that we need to do a number of activities, sports related, and some activities were put on the table. But there were no further discussion as to the specifics and how we're going to go about executing them.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, quite recently, you had the primary schools cricket competition as well. How did that go, and who came out champions?
It was a very good competition. I think the standard was a bit higher than last year. Reason being, we took action after we evaluated last year's competition. We took some action where we initiated a program in the schools where the cricket coaches go in and work with the players during the PE session. So that started as early as January of this year. And so we saw improvement in a lot of areas, especially like fielding, bowling action. Of course, we have, I think in Nevis, for some reason, we just produce a lot of natural batsmen. Yeah, so we didn't have to do a lot of work with the batting, but the fielding and the bowling and so forth was much improved this year. Of course, the champions were from, the champions were from? So you weren't paying attention, King?
No,
okay, so congratulations again to Ivor Waters Primary School for winning the championship. They would have won the championship. Very good. They have They have some very, very good players. As a matter of fact, all the teams this year had a number of outstanding players. Like it's the first time for me in a while that you saw like every team had like 2 or 3 quality players, players that you could see going far in the sport, which is very good here.
Okay, now I want to put this question to both of you. The schools were the ones who used to give us all of the great cricketers and footballers due to the fact that there was a games master placed at the high schools to ensure that the young and promising cricketers and footballers continue to develop and progress. But that is no longer the case. None of the high schools have a cricket team or football team as we speak. So we are not producing cricketers or footballers like yesteryear. Any plans to take a second look at that situation? Because I think we are falling down there big time in the schools. Because the schools were the champions of cricket and football. That's where all the stars was coming out of. We're not having that anymore. And one of the reasons people think is because there's no games master in the school. But
So the game master, and you would have spoken to me about this previously.
Right.
Like the actual role. I don't know if the game master is the same as the head of the sports committee.
I think so.
I think it's similar.
It's similar.
Yeah.
Similar.
I think we just have to revisit how we go about doing things in the school in terms of sports development, especially at the secondary. I really do think that the primary school is in a better position in terms of doing what they're supposed to do for sport. I think is at the secondary school level where we have to really revisit.
That's where we're dropping the ball, right?
That's where we're dropping the ball.
School level.
Yeah, and one of the things that we're doing, and one of the advantages of the ministry, the Department of Sports and the Department of Education are falling under the same ministry, is that we're able to work together strategically to address these issues. So even in the absence of an assigned game masters, I think the plan that we have moving forward for secondary school sports, of course we're going to need some buy-in from the secondary school themselves and the coaches involved in the school. I think the plan that we have in mind moving forward, we are going to see some changes, and we're going to get back to where we were. Yeah.
I hope so, because I mean we are losing out big time on our best athletes, best cricketers, best footballers right in that high school section. That is the area that needs. I mean, it's something you and I would have
spoken about before.
Yes, so I would like to see it get up. Ms. Claxton, are there any new initiatives that we could look forward to in this new school term?
I think I touched on some of them in the beginning when I spoke to the convocation, because we spent some time during the convocation to look at some of the new initiatives. Highlights, I know the parents are looking forward to EduPage coming to primary because they like to be able to access their grades online as well. They are looking forward to, or we are looking forward to the strides in digital literacy and getting our children to a different level when it comes to the computer use. Not just to be able to take up the phone and take up the computer and use it, but to be able to use it to effect change and to use it effectively. I also want to speak to the Teacher Excellence Program. We launched that on Monday as well. The Teacher Excellence Program is geared towards all public pre-primary and secondary school teachers, and the tagline is empowering teachers, enhancing classrooms, elevating learning. We are giving teachers the opportunity to apply for a grant of sorts, or apply for funds to use towards a project that they want to implement in their classrooms or their schools to improve student learning and student success. Individual teachers can apply for up to 1,000 EC, groups of teachers for up to 2,500 EC, with the aim of getting a maximum of 10 projects or $10,000 EC per cycle. As I said, trying to get the creativity of the teachers and trying to really demonstrate that we value the teacher input and guidance. And some of these projects I know would become projects that we would use across the system after, with the permission of the teachers, of course, and the guidance of the teachers as well. So there's an application process, and this was shared with the teachers on Monday, and we talked a bit about why we would like the teachers to apply versus just giving random funds. We wanted them to apply so that we have some level of accountability, that when we have to give account for the funds, we can say, okay, this is what the teacher intended to do. This was a project idea. These are the outcomes, and then from there have it as a model as well, so that we can do our reporting. Because we are accountable to the audit department. We are accountable to the Ministry of Finance. We are accountable to various entities. But we want the best experience for our students, and so we are encouraging our teachers, whether they want to come together as groups, whether they want to come together, whether they want to submit an individual project. We're encouraging them to apply. We are looking for innovative teaching approaches that engage students, projects that address real classroom needs, clear plans for sustainable impact, creative use of resources to maximize student benefit, and alignment with the curriculum standards. We're looking for projects that inspire other teachers as well. And during the Back to School convocation, we stated to the teachers that we are, as a ministry, making a commitment to them, and we're letting them know that we're committed to supporting teacher innovation and student success, and that the funding reflects our belief that the best educational ideas come from the classroom, and our role as a Ministry of Education is to provide the resources to make those ideas a reality. So we want to encourage teachers, and the deadline for application is next Friday, September 6th, and that will give us a month to go through the applications and ask any questions that we may have, and then we are going to release the winning grants, the winning proposals, during the week of World Teachers Day, so that it's kind of going to be aligned with World Teachers Day to celebrate our teachers.
Okay, having said that, you refresh my memory of the 75th anniversary celebration at CSS. I think they have some functions coming
yes.
up. You want to address that for a second before we run out of time?
The calendar has been updated. Last time I came, I brought the calendar, but there have been some updates. We have left the production, which should take place in September. I know that the Miss CSS pageant will be October 18th. I remember that one from memory, and then there will be the gala. We had to make some adjustments to the date, so I have to revert to get the updated date. But anyone out there who's interested in attending the gala, and I encourage you to attend, please reach out to the office of the Charlestown Secondary School, and they'll be able to guide you through that. And then they'll close out with a members only event in December. That just means that only staff can come, which means we are excluded as well, because we're not members of the Elite Lions squad, at least not in this sense. But so those are the remaining activities for this term, and for the 75th anniversary. Ivor Walters will be celebrating their 60th anniversary next week, I think it is, in the first week of September. So Ivor Walters' anniversary is right around the corner. And then, as you know, we're looking forward to a very active year. We're talking about football. We're talking about Leeward Islands debating competition coming right here to Nevis.
Oh, really?
Yes. So those are some of the big things that are going to be happening. I know we'll have a lot more visits here before some of these things roll out, but these are some of the things that we're going to have to come and get the public
aware,
not just aware of, but to be part of and to support, because we would need the support of the public to be able to pull off. Leeward Islands debating competition means that countries are coming from, students are coming from all over, and we would need volunteers. We need volunteers. We need support. We'll need as much as we can.
Okay, great. I wanted to ask you something. They're having a problem getting nurses as your way and policemen as your way. Do you ever thought of bringing in at your morning devotion in the assembly hall maybe the matron to talk about the importance of nursing and support?
Well, before I bring the matron and the police, I need to bring the education department to talk about the low number of teachers. But we do have there are various organizations that come in. They do at the fifth form and sixth form level, and even, for example, CFBC Teacher Ed and the nursing division, they come as well to let the students know the subjects that they should take to get into these careers. At the department, we have had some conversations about ways in which we can encourage those students in the high needs area.
Right.
I think that our young people are more into content creation and business and those areas right now, but I think that we have to understand that we need a balance, because we can't be all be. You can be a content creating nurse. I follow content creating doctors who kind of share their life and all of that. So there's nothing wrong. We shouldn't be either or.
Let me ask you this. Why do so many students go abroad to study business? And I'll tell you why I ask that question. Because they go abroad, they study business, and they come back with a degree, and they open no business at all.
Well, they help businesses to grow, I guess. It's their interest. I'm wondering. I think it's their
your
interest.
interest. My thing is, you go where you study the business, and you come back and you get into business. Too many of them is into nothing like that.
Well, maybe life has taken a different path for them, and they had one intention and didn't quite pan out. But as I said, we're seeing a move away from the traditional to the very, very non-traditional gaming and the graphic designing and the content creation. Listen, if you, and the number of people who consume content on TikTok and Instagram and what else is there? YouTube and all the other platforms. People are really, really doing well on content creation and even our tourism product. You realize that we have persons coming in and getting coverage of our island, and those are social media influencers. Yes. And so the career pathways, but we have to, like you said, help our students to see that the high needs areas, nursing, we need persons to help us navigate the healthcare system. We need persons to take the law and order and security of our island. So we will continue, and we at any point, if any of those entities want to come in, the invitation is very much open. The doors are very open for them, because we are partners in this process.
Sounds good. Miss Claxton and Mr. Claxton, both Claxton here, I want to thank you both for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us this evening. Really appreciate it. Your final words for our listening and viewing audience.
Final words, Mr. Claxton, or you want me
I don't mean.
Okay, so my final words, we want to wish all of the students, teachers, principals, everyone going out on Monday the very best. We want to wish them a very successful 2025-2026 academic year. We'll have a few breaks in the first term. We'll have the independence breaks, and then we'll have the midterm break, where students get a long extended weekend, October 24th to 27th. But amidst it all, we want you to be successful, and we want you to participate and to be your best and to give your best during the upcoming school year.
Mr. Claxton?
Well, I just want to join my colleague in just wishing all the students and, of course, our teachers, principals, ancillary staff a successful 25-26 school year. And let's say just go out and do your best, and let's have a successful school year.
Great. Thank you very much, folks. Folks, we have come to the end of another edition of our Government at Work program. Join us again next week when we shall do it all over again. Do enjoy the rest of the evening's programming. Then have a pleasant night's rest. Good night.